Hello everyone, breaking news. The New York Supreme Court has sided with Project Veritas, and we will now be permitted to depose the New York Times. This may be the biggest thing to happen in journalism in 50 years. Well, now you're going to have to face justice. In court, under oath, on video, you are going to be deposed. Court today issued a mic drop of an opinion. Listen to this from a New York State Supreme Court judge, quote, "Here, having failed to convince the court that Project Veritas case should be dismissed, the New York Times also failed. They failed to demonstrate the extraordinary justification for the imposition of such a drastic stay." See, the conceit of the New York Times, they got defeated by the first judge on that motion to dismiss. We have won a historic battle in a defamation lawsuit against the New York Times and New York Supreme Court, not granting motion to dismiss against the New York Times.
Defendants argue that their statements describing Veritas video as deceptive, false, and without evidence were mere opinion, incapable of being judged true or false. However, if a writer interjects an opinion in a news article and will seek to claim legal protections as opinion, it stands to reason that the writers should have an obligation to alert the reader that it is opinion.
Oh no, we'll just ignore that and keep on appealing. Well, now a second judge has said, quote, "Despite the fact the New York Times has been permitted to file these anti-SLAPP motions to dismiss for decades, in this case, with Project Veritas, quote, the New York Times failed to cite any cases in which an unsuccessful moving was granted a stay pending appeal." The New York Times has lost. As you all recall, we sued the New York Times for claiming our Minnesota ballot harvesting video was, quote, deceptive and, quote, disinformation. The New York Times said that we were not showing people's faces, that we were using anonymous sources. You could hear all of their voices. And now we're going to be able to depose all of the reporters at the New York Times, including Maggie Astor herself.
There is no documentation or evidence of widespread fraud.
Money is everything. Money is the key in this world. Ujeedan gaarigaygu waa buuxaa, waxaas waa absent ballot salka yaala, soo ma jeedin? Fiiri, waxaas oo dhan soo ma jeedin?
Wonderful. That's illegal, why? We don't get illegal.
Executive editor Dean Baquet, who laughed in our face.
Your lawyer citing Wikipedia. Yes. What do you have to say to that?
You're a loser. You're a loser.
Well, who's laughing now, Dean Baquet? Maybe you ought to do the right thing for once. Correct your article instead of trying to appeal this lawsuit. Facebook sent a notification to millions of people saying that we were engaged in, quote, false information based upon your article. Said that we were engaged in false information. Well, now you're going to have to face justice. Justice is telling the truth and sticking to the facts. You project onto me everything that you are. You are what you ostensibly hate. Disinformation? What's putting your opinion in the first sentence of a news article?
It didn't contact any of Veritas's on-the-record sources for comment, including one cited more than 10 times, and incorrectly reported Minnesota's ban on ballot harvesting was suspended. It wasn't.
So the New York Times, in their original article, wrote that the law that Liban Mohammed was violating, well, the New York Times reported as fact in their original article, the New York Times reported there was a temporary suspension on the ban, that it wasn't illegal what Liban Mohammed was doing. However, in 104, the New York Times admits that the district court, quote, ruled a delay on the enforcement of the law. So the New York Times is effectively admitting that it is illegal to have more than 3 ballots. Calling it, what is that if not disinformation? You know, a lot of people in this country think that nothing can be done about the problems, that we should just bend over and take it. But the honest to God truth is we need to fight these people with everything we have. In almost every other case like this, when you get past discovery, people try to get paid off. There is no amount of money that Dean Baquet, the general counsel, or anyone at the New York Times can offer me. We are going to trial. All of this can have been avoided if you just told the truth. We don't report anything unless you can see the people's lips moving. We don't report anything unless you can hear their voices. You had the balls to argue in court in front of a judge to say that it was just a mere opinion incapable of being judged true or false, we're now going to be held accountable. I look forward to seeing you in court, and I look forward to winning at trial. Stay tuned.